Good morning from the Russian Mission Control Center in the town of Korolyov outside of Moscow. And welcome to our coverage of the undocking and redocking of the ISS Progress 62 cargo ship, the unpiloted Russian cargo ship that will be sent on a short spin away from the International Space Station this morning, about a 34-minute maneuver to test an upgraded, telerobotically operated unit, the backup rendezvous system that was upgraded inside the workstation of the Zvezda service module several weeks ago. You're looking at a still photo of the Russian Mission Control Center here in Korolyov. Meanwhile, half a world away at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, the International Space Station Flight Control Team, the Orbit 1 team of flight controllers on duty at this hour, led by Flight Director Rick LeBrode on the right side of your screen. He's joined by spacecraft communicator Jay Marshke, who will be talking to the International Space Station crew during the course of today's activities. Of course, this activity today, the undocking and redocking of the Progress 62 cargo ship, is under the control of the Russian flight controllers here in Korolyov. The two flight directors who will be in charge of that activity, Yuri Nalovkin and Valery Ledudo, they are at their stations along with other Russian controllers who will be manning their consoles to watch over the data as the Progress makes a short excursion away from the Piers docking compartment of the International Space Station. The two cosmonauts on board the station, members of the Expedition 48 crew, who will be at a workstation inside the Zvezda service module, operating a joystick to manually fly the Progress back in for its docking and the test of this backup rendezvous system, are Alexei Ovchinin and Alex Skripochka, both of whom were launched along with Station Commander Jeff Williams of NASA back in March on their Soyuz spacecraft. The whole three-man crew of Expedition 48 of Williams, Ovchinin, and Skripochka have been by themselves now for almost 2 weeks as a three-man crew on the International Outpost ever since the departure of Tim Kopra, Yuri Malenchenko, and Tim Peake as they landed on the steppe of Kazakhstan 2 weeks ago today. However, this three-man crew will be joined soon by three additional crew members who will augment the Expedition 48 crew, NASA's Kate Rubins, Anatoly Ivanishin of Roscosmos, and Takoya Onishi of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, who are at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan and at their Cosmonaut Hotel crew quarters in the final weeks of training that will lead to their launch on July 7th Baikonur time on a two-day rendezvous to augment the station back to a six-person crew.
I see.
But the activity of choice today is this engineering test of the telerobotically operated unit, the Taurus system, which serves as a backup to the automated CORS rendezvous system. This Taurus system encountered several engineering discrepancies on the initial approach of the 62 Progress craft when it was launched on December 21st from the Baikonur Cosmodrome last year on a two-day rendezvous that took it to a docking to the Piers docking compartment on December 23rd. The Taurus system, again, serves only in the case of Progress vehicles, not manned Soyuz vehicles, but in the unlikely event the problem would occur with the CORS automated rendezvous system, the crew on board the station, the cosmonaut team inside the Zvezda service module, would take over manual control of the flying of the Progress, as they will this morning, to basically fly the Progress in for its docking to the Piers docking compartment in this case. Countdown clocks are ticking backward to the command that will open up the hooks that have held the Progress in place at the Piers docking compartment. That undocking command will be issued at 12:35 a.m. Central Time. A minute and a half later, springs on both sides of the docking interface will push off against one another to enable the Progress to physically separate from Piers. That separation to occur at 12:36 and 30 seconds a.m. Central Time. The Progress will back away with the assistance of two separation burns, one of 5 seconds in duration and one just about 2 minutes later of 15 seconds in duration, to send the Progress to a distance of about 600 feet away from the Piers docking compartment, where the brakes will be put on, and Ovchinin and Skripochka then will take over for the manual flying of the Progress back in for a manual docking to the Piers docking compartment, with the redocking expected at 1:10 a.m. Central Time. At that point, hooks will close back once again. The crew, after the initial arrival of the Progress 62 back in December, and after engineering analysis by the Russian engineers here in Korolyov and RSC Energia, determined that a replacement of the signal conversion unit in the Toru workstation in Zvezda was required. That was performed with a test of the Progress still docked to the station back in late April. Now a final test of this upgraded Toru signal conversion system and the Toru system in general, with the Progress free flying away from the station, will be undertaken this morning, and that will set the stage for the same hardware to be used on future Progress launches.
The Range Rover is in my hand.
In Houston, the flight control team under the direction of Rick LeBrode taking a final go, no-go for the undocking of the Progress vehicle. LeBrode will pass that on to his Russian counterparts here in Korolyov a short time from now, and the stage will be set for the physical separation of Progress just 15 minutes from now. The Progress, after it redocks, will only be reattached to the station for a very short period of time. Its final undocking is scheduled for 10:48 p.m. Central Time on Saturday night, July 2nd, tomorrow evening. Several hours later, its engines will fire in a deorbit burn at 2:03 a.m. Central Time on Sunday, July 3rd, and that will send Progress into a destructive re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere, where it will break up harmlessly over the southern Pacific Ocean in the wee hours of Sunday morning. Its job will have been completed. Its place in the Piers docking compartment, docking port, will be taken just 2 weeks from now by the new ISS Progress 64 cargo craft that will be launched on Saturday afternoon U.S. time on July 16th. The scheduled launch time is 4:41 p.m. Central Time on Saturday, July 16th. That will be 3:41 a.m. Baikonur time from the Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan on Sunday, July 17th, on what currently is forecast to be a 2-day rendezvous for the Progress to link up to the Piers docking compartment, and a 6-month stay at Piers, where it will remain docked until the mid-January timeframe in 2017. Again, here in the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov, we're standing by for the undocking command that will take place about 12 minutes from now. That undocking command will set the stage for the physical separation of the Progress 62 cargo craft that, again, was launched back on December 21st, arriving at the station on December 23rd, carrying 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the residents on board the International Space Station. A similar load of cargo and fuel is set to be launched in 2 weeks on the new ISS Progress 64 cargo craft. Again, that launch scheduled for the afternoon of Saturday, July 16th, and the wee hours of Sunday, July 17th in Baikonur on the next resupply journey of a Russian cargo craft to the International Space Station. But the first order of business today is the undocking of Progress and its redocking. We will be gaining a television signal from the Progress 64 or 62 cargo craft shortly before its undocking takes place. We should be picking up a television signal through Russian ground stations a short time from now. We will not have a downlink television capability from the station on the KU band communication system through the tracking and relay satellite system until just about undocking time, some 12 minutes from now. So we'll be standing by for that activity. Again, this is a 34-minute activity to back the Progress away to a distance of about 600 feet away from the Piers docking compartment. The undocking will be automated, and then at the point at which the Progress is its furthest distance away from the Piers docking compartment, Alexei Ovchinin and Oleg Skripochka, the two Expedition 48 cosmonauts on board the station at the moment, part of the three-man crew for the moment as the Expedition 48 crew. They'll take over manual control of the flying of the Progress from the telerobotically operated workstation in the Zvezda service module to fly the Progress back in for a docking that is scheduled for 1:10 a.m. Central Time. At this hour, the International Space Station and its three crew members are traveling 254 statute miles above the Earth, moving from southwest to northeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. They are flying directly over Istanbul, Turkey, as we speak, soon to make a pass over southern Russia and northwestern Kazakhstan, north of the launch site at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Again, we are standing by for the undocking command about 7 minutes from now that will open the hooks that have held the Progress 62 cargo ship in place at the Piers docking compartment a minute and a half after that undocking command at 12:36 and 30 seconds a.m. Central Time. Springs on both sides of the docking interface will push off against one another to enable physical separation of the Progress from the port to which it has been attached since December 23rd of last year. This test, once again, designed to check out the integrity of a new signal conversion unit that was installed in a workstation of the Zvezda service module that operates the communications link for the telerobotically operated unit. That's the backup rendezvous system that is used in the unlikely event that a failure would occur in the automated Coors rendezvous system during the approach of a Progress vehicle to the International Space Station. In the case of a piloted Soyuz vehicle, there is no Toru operation. In the event a Coors failure would occur for a Soyuz, the crew on board of the Soyuz vehicle itself would take over the manual flying of the Soyuz in for its docking.
Экипаж МКС ответится по Москве по тесту ТОРу.
Station Moscow, Space to Ground 1 for Toro test. Go ahead on Space to Ground 1.
Алексей, выполняйте.
Alexei, please activate Toru
К шагу пятому.
and proceed with Toru test in step 5. Copy and work.
Принято.
Напоминаю, перед выдачей команд
And before you send the command,
клавиши на пульте
PUBPS
должны быть отжаты.
network, please release all.
And this view is the crosshair camera outside of the Progress 62 cargo craft, the familiar engineering crosshair camera that provides data to the Russian flight controllers here in Korolyov so they can measure ultimately its distance from the station as it backs away. And then as it reapproaches the station under the manual control of Ovchinin and Skrupochka, the rate of closure for its redocking with contact and capture expected to occur as the Progress is traveling at about 1/10 of a meter per second. This will also provide a view of the docking port itself as the Progress backs away and then reapproaches in this 34-minute maneuver to test the backup rendezvous system called the Toru, or the telerobotically operated unit in the Zvezda service module.
Activating BPS initial, and I confirm that two side LEDs are illuminated. Copy. Please proceed with the hand controllers test.
Принято. Приступаю к тесту РУ.
Copy, and rotational hand controller test in work. And so move till hard stop for a couple of seconds, 3-4 seconds, and wait till the LEDs are illuminated. Copy. All 4 LEDs are illuminated for pitch and neutral.
Загорание всех 4.
Hand controller up.
Нейтраль.
All of them are illuminated. In neutral position, all LEDs are illuminated. Hand controller to the right, and
Нейтраль.
all LEDs are illuminated. And neutral position, LEDs are not illuminated. Hand controller to the left, all 4 LEDs are illuminated. And neutral, LEDs are not illuminated. Counterclockwise, all LEDs illuminated for pitch, neutral position not illuminated. Clockwise, all 4 LEDs are illuminated for roll. I am done with the rotational hand controller test. Proceed with the translational hand controller test.
Приступаю.
Through a translator, you're hearing a conversation between Alexei Ovchinin inside the Zvezda service module and the flight control team here in Korolyov as they make final checks to the workstation in the Zvezda service module that Ovchinin and Alex Skrupochka are manning at this hour as we stand by for the command for the hooks to open on the Progress 62 cargo craft that will set the stage for its undocking that is coming up just about 3 minutes from now.
Position not illuminated. Pulling towards myself.
Нейтраль.
Two side LEDs are illuminated and neutral position not illuminated. Pushing it away.
Нейтраль.
Two side LEDs are illuminated and neutral position not illuminated. Translational hand controller is working fine. All right. And now send the BPS initial. And I'm sending the command. The LEDs illuminated. BPS initial command. All LEDs are illuminated. I am done with page 36. Copy. You can move on to page 37.
Выполнить включение фары.
So please illuminate, activate the floodlight.
Принято.
Copy and work.
The International Space Station has been placed in what is called free drift, all of its thrusters on the Russian segment disabled to prevent any perturbation on the complex at the time of the undocking. The command should be issued about 30 seconds from now to begin the opening of the hooks.
Загорание 4 светочек.
And by activating the floodlight and then deactivating the
Я попробую.
operation. And let me try and play with AGC mode because the image is a little bit too dark. Copy, you have a go.
Отключить работу, ожидаем.
Please deactivate the operation command and stand by for separation.
Принято.
Copy.
Отключил работу.
Работа operation is off. Copy.
In the flight control room in Houston at the Johnson Space Center, the visiting vehicle officer, Heidi Paris, has confirmed to Flight Director Rick LeBrode that the Progress hooks are, in fact, driving open, setting the stage for the physical separation of Progress from the Piers docking compartment a short time from now. The physical separation expected at 12:36 and 30 seconds a.m. Central Time.
Визуально наблюдаю восхождение объектов 0830.
I confirm undocking at 08:36:36.
Undocking confirmed. Physical separation as the Progress has left the Piers docking compartment. The undocking time was 12:36 and 36 seconds a.m. Central Time. So the Progress is now beginning to back away from the Piers docking compartment. There will be a pair of separation burns on the Progress thrusters. The first manual separation burn will be a 5-second burn to increase the opening rate by 0.2 of a meter per second. That will be coming up about 2 minutes from now, followed a minute and a half later by a second separation burn of 15 seconds in duration that will send the Progress away to a distance of about 600 feet away from the International Space Station.
Target in the center of the periscope, and please, with the right hand controller, try and minimize any discrepancies with the required attitude. So am I using the rotational hand controller? Yes, that is correct.
Секунд.
15 seconds till operation. Copy. 10 seconds.
Что?
What did you say?
Так, включаю работу.
I'm activating operation. Copy.
Включаю ручное управление.
I'm going to the manual control. I confirm that LEDs are illuminated.
Есть отвод плюс
And I
выбор узкого.
go into the retreat plus
Есть
X,
угла.
and I'm selecting narrow angle. Confirm that the narrow angle has been selected.
This view of the Progress 62 having backed away from the Piers docking compartment and continuing an opening rate to a distance of about 600 feet. Alexei Ovchinin and Alex Rapochka are converting the systems on their workstation to the manual mode for the operation of the telerobotically operated unit that will be used to manually fly the Progress back in for a redocking a short time from now. Again, undocking occurring at 12:36 and 30 seconds a.m. Central Time as the International Space Station flew 254 statute miles over southern Russia.
Есть дублирует на себя на 5 секунд.
I'm pulling the translation hand control towards myself for 5 seconds. You have our go.
Визуально дальность порядка.
And visually, the range is about 25 meters. Copy.
Выдаю команду.
I'm sending the command to deactivate the power supply to the
Понял.
docking assembly,
Диодов.
and I confirm that LEDs are illuminated. I am activating the power supply to the docking mechanism.
Диодов.
I see that the inner two side and two middle LEDs are illuminated.
Движение.
We are ready
4 светодиодов.
to
И включаю защиту.
proceed, and I am
И загорание.
deactivating the power supply to the latches.
Flight controllers here in Korolyov now report that the docking probe has been powered up on the Progress in advance of its reapproach for a redocking that will be conducted shortly under the manual control of cosmonauts Alexei Ovchinin and Alex Kripochka from a workstation inside the International Space Station's Zvezda service module. Progress continuing to back away from the complex. It will be at a distance of about 600 feet away from the Piers docking compartment at the time that it will begin its reapproach under the control of Ovchinin and Skripochka.
Это
The International Space Station and the Progress resupply craft flying 254 statute miles over central Mongolia, moving from northwest to southeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. So far, so good on this engineering test of a new signal converter installed in the Toru, or telerobotically operated unit system, the backup rendezvous system that is used in the unlikely event that the Corps' automated rendezvous system would encounter a problem on an approaching Progress cargo craft.
Как наблюдаете мишень?
So how do you see the target of the docking mechanism?
стыковочного.
Well, the docking, I can see the docking mechanism, but I can't see the target that well. There is just too much insulation.
Стыковочному узлу.
So please work, try to see the docking mechanism.
Выходите с оси.
So, and you are a little bit off the desired attitude, and please correct your pitch. Copy, I see that.
Через 20 секунд готовьтесь.
In about 20 seconds, please get ready to send the command for the second separation burn. Copy.
As you heard in that instruction from the flight control team here in Korolyov to cosmonauts Ovchinin and Skripochka, the flight control team standing by for the command.
Command for the second burn.
For the second separation burn, that command now has been sent. This will be a 15-second burn to enable the Progress to move out to a distance of about 600 feet or so from the Piers docking compartment for a short period of station keeping, where Russian flight controllers will assess the systems on the Progress 62, its relative alignment to the Piers docking compartment before the crew on board the station, Ovchinin and Skripochka, begin to manually fly the Progress back in for its redocking. So far, everything is going as planned.
It's about 100 or maybe 105 meters. Copy. So range is about 100 or 105 meters, just repeating. Copy your last.
С дальности 180
So at 180 meters,
взлетной скорости.
please start braking. Copy.
And as you heard in that report, the brakes will be applied on the Progress basically to stop it at a distance of about 600 feet away from the Piers docking compartment, again for that very brief period of station keeping, and an opportunity for the Russian flight control team here to assess the status of the 62 Progress systems, as well as the readiness of Ovchinin and Skropochka to begin their work to fly the Progress back in for its redocking. Again, this is an engineering test that was proposed and approved by the International Space Station Partnership to test this brand new signal converter and an upgrade to the telerobotically operated backup rendezvous system that will be applied to all future Progress resupply vehicles.
Visually, the range is about 170, 180 meters, and I'm ready for the braking. You have a go to put it in work. Copy.
A good view from the Progress external engineering camera showing the International Space Station as the Progress and the station fly, for the moment at least, independently, 254 miles above the Earth, about to pass over South Korea on a pass that will take the two craft just to the south of the Japanese islands and out over the eastern or western Pacific Ocean.
I see the docking mechanism, and I'm getting to the access for the docking mechanism, and I'm starting with the fly around. Copy and work. You have a go. And Alexei, please move to page 25 of the RODF. All right, we're on page. Moving on to page 25. You have a go to initiate approach and docking. Copy. Please make sure that your range rate is about 0.2, 0.3 meters per second. All right, so translational hand control is away from me for about 3 seconds. 7, 8 seconds. Moscow copies.
And as you heard, the Russian flight controllers are happy with the systems on the 62 Progress craft and its orientation and all of the systems on board in the Zvezda service module, and have given Ovchinin and Skropochka a go to initiate the manual reapproach of the Progress for what is likely to be an early redocking to the Piers docking compartment. Flying directly over the southern Japanese island chain at the moment, the Progress now begins its slow trek back in for a docking to complete this brief engineering test of the new signal converter that was installed in the workstation of the Zvezda service module, and an upgrade to the backup rendezvous system for future Progress vehicles.
Go ahead and use translational hand controller most of the time, and minimize the usage of rotational hand controller. Copy, Moscow. How would you rate this range rate visually? Visually, the range rate is about 0.3 to 0.35. Continue to control the range rate during the final approach. I copy, Moscow. We are aligned with the docking target. Copy. And at station keeping point, the size of the docking target should be 2 squares. I copy all, Moscow.
Приступил к гашению скорости.
Starting to brake. Copy. Please report to us.
This is Mission Control in Korolyov. As you can see from views from both the Progress and from International Space Station cameras, the Progress continues to be manually flown back in true form for its redocking to the Piers docking compartment. It departed the Piers at 12:36 and 36 seconds a.m. Central Time,
Actually, never mind.
backed away to a distance of almost 600 feet away from the Piers, and cosmonauts Alexei Ovchinin and Alex Kripochka have now taken over manual control of the flying of the Progress from the upgraded Toru system on a workstation, basically operating a joystick at that workstation in the Zvezda service module. That manual flying is designed to test out a new signal conversion unit that was installed in the workstation back in April. So far, everything is checked out perfectly. The Progress is slowly but surely moving back in for a redocking to the Piers docking compartment, but it will be a brief stay since it will undock for the final time late on Saturday, July 2nd, just before 11 p.m. Central Time, and a few hours later sent into a deorbit burn and a destructive reentry back into the Earth's atmosphere. The Progress is now station keeping at about 30 meters away from the Piers docking compartment. One final check of its alignment and the systems on board the 62 Progress. So far, so good. All the reports here in Korolyov indicate a good system, a good Toru manual rendezvous backup system being operated by Ovchinin and Skripochka. This, again, a brief moment for station keeping to enable the flight controllers here to make one final assessment of the Progress systems and its alignment.
Ready to send the command to retract the antenna on your go. Copy your go to retract the overcock antenna.
Выдал команду.
Command has been sent to retract the antenna. Copy, Alexei.
Продолжайте выполнение зависания.
Continue station keeping.
Ближе 20 метров.
Please do not continue in closer than 20 meters. Copy.
Текущая дальность 25 метров.
Current range is 25 meters, Moscow. I copy, Alexei.
Russian flight controllers instructing Alexei Ovchinin to take it slowly and surely in an incremental fashion as he manually flies the Progress back in. 25 meters distance now between the Progress and a redocking to the Piers docking compartment on the Earth-facing port of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. The Piers having first launched to the station in September of 2001, serving a dual purpose as both a docking port and the airlock for Russian-based spacewalks out of the International Space Station.
Дальность продолжает сохраняться 25 метров.
We're maintaining 25-meter range. The crosshairs are aligned, and we are straight across from the docking mechanism. Copy all. Alexei, please continue station keeping. Copy, Moscow.
Russian flight controllers happy with the alignment of the Progress 62 cargo craft, as you heard. Alexei Ovchinin with a steady hand at the workstation in the Zvezda service module, manually flying the Progress back in this engineering test of the upgraded telerobotically operated unit, or TORU system, which again serves as a backup to the CORS automated rendezvous system that is used in the unlikely event during the final approach of a Progress in its rendezvous for a docking to the International Space Station. The CORS, of course, the automated system that is tried and true, but in the event of a problem, the crew on board the station would take over manual control of the flying of an approaching Progress, just as they are doing in this test this morning.
25 meters. Copy. Continue station keeping and maintaining attitude. And make sure that you stay at the right range. Copy and work.
У нас тоже есть изображение.
And we're getting video of the station as well.
Station keeping continuing for the Progress 62 cargo craft as it flies 254 statute miles over the western Pacific to the northeast of New Guinea.
For our assessment, no issues at all. We copy Moscow.
Алексей, будем работать сейчас с пультом БПС.
Alexei, we're going to be using BPS control panel
Принято.
to operate the docking mechanism. I copy.
The Russian segment of the International Space Station is reported by flight controllers here in Korolyov to be ready for redocking. That should commence with the final approach for the redocking of the Progress to the Piers docking compartment just a few moments from now.
Дальность продолжает сохраняться 20.
We're maintaining 25-meter range, and I am aligned with the required docking interface. Copy.
Итак, Алексей,
All right, Alexei. From full BPS control panel, send command to activate power 2.
выдать включение питания.
Just send command to power.
Включение питания чего?
To power up what?
Стыковочный механизм.
To power up docking mechanism. So from full BPS control panel, send command, which is called activation, to activate docking mechanism. Copy. And I can report that the central or middle LEDs are on. Okay, go ahead and send command AOVK Zakar
Выдал команду.
to retract the AO antenna. Copy.
Вас понял.
The side LEDs came on and off, and the middle LEDs are off. Copy, Alexei.
Так, Алексей, завершен процесс перевода станции в текущее положение.
We are finished with transitioning ISS to snap and hold,
Скорость подвода.
and you're go to initiate final approach. Please maintain a range rate of no more than 0.15 meters per second, and we recommend that you use pulse mode on the translation hand controller, and perform one last station keeping at a range of 3 meters. I copy. At a range of 2 to 3 meters, I will initiate station keeping, and I am starting to
Для причаливания.
Вас понял. Рекомендую
initiate final approach,
мишени 3 клетки.
accelerating.
По ширине мишени.
Copy. And
This is Mission Control Korolyov. The final approach of the Progress 62 for its redocking has been initiated under the manual control of Alexei Ovchinin and backed up by Alex Verpochka inside the Zvezda service module. You heard that series of instructions from the flight control team here in Korolyov to Ovchinin as he slowly flies the Progress in for its redocking. They'll be watching, as will the cosmonauts, on a TV monitor, the same view that you're seeing, they're seeing on board, as they will approach at a glacial rate of about 1/10 of a meter per second. Station keep about 2 to 3 meters away from the docking port itself for a final review of alignment and the Progress systems before they bring the Progress in for contact and capture and the initiation of the retraction of the docking probe that will enable the hooks to close once again for a 24-hour period before the Progress is undocked on the night of Saturday, July 2nd for the final time.
Дальность 6 метров.
range is 6 meters. Copy 6 meters.
Just 6 meters away from redocking. You can see that alignment coming into perfect symmetry as Alexei Ovchinin applies kid gloves on the workstation for the Toru system inside the Zvezda service module. We'll be standing by for another brief period of station keeping before final contact and capture.
Просьба доложите выполнение зависания.
Please report when you are station keeping.
Вас понял.
I copy.
An excellent view of the Progress 62 as it has reinitiated station keeping just about 3 meters away from the Piers docking compartment that you see on the left side of your screen. Once again, Ovchinin will send commands through the telerobotically operated Rendezvous system
Send a 2-second
to reinitiate the final approach for contact and capture. We'll be standing by for a final go from the Russian mission control team here in Korolyov to complete this Toru test, the undocking and redocking of the Progress 62 resupply vehicle.
Дальность 3 метра.
3 meters. The crosshairs are aligned, and I'm ready to send the pulse to close in. Copy. Go ahead and send the 2-second pulse.
Принял.
I copy.
Выдал 2 секунды на подвод.
2-second close in pulse is complete.
Работаем до конца.
Copy. Continue to use translation.
And final approach to close the final 3 meters to contact and capture has been initiated. Everything going very smoothly as we'll monitor the communications from the flight control team here in Korolyov and these outstanding television views that you're receiving from both International Space Station cameras and the Progress external camera.
Contact confirmed. confirmed.
Принято, есть сотка.
Capture confirmed.
Contact confirmed. Docking confirmed.
150. Copy.
Docking confirmed at 1:05 a.m. Central Time. 1:05 a.m. Central Time as the International Space Station flew 254 statute miles over the South Pacific.
Выдать выключение ручного управления.
Alexei, go ahead and turn off manual control.
Принято. Отключаю.
Disabling manual control.
Отключил ручное управление.
Принято.
Manual control is disabled. We copy, Alexei.
With docking confirmed once again at 1:05 a.m. Central Time, 2:05 a.m. Eastern Time. The relative motion of the two vehicles dampening out against one another. Once that settles down, then the docking probe will be retracted. Once retracted, the hooks will be closed and the Progress will have a hard mate once again to the Piers docking compartment. Again, a textbook undocking and redocking for the crew, the two cosmonauts, Ovchinin and Skripochka, to test the upgraded telerobotically operated rendezvous system.
And the target is moving up and down. Copy, Alexei.
The undocking of the Progress from the Piers docking compartment was initiated at 12:36 a.m. Central Time. The Progress backed away to a distance of about 600 feet away from the station,
And we also
at which point
oscillation of the vehicle
the
on the docking target.
reinitiation of the approach for redocking
As soon as the capture
was commanded and approved by the flight control team here in Korolyov.
saw that the plus X
The reapproach was executed on manual operation by Alexei Ovchinin from a workstation inside the Zvezda service module, with the redocking occurring at 1:05 a.m. Central Time, as we stand by for the retraction of the docking probe and the initiation of the hooks closing between the Progress and the Piers docking compartment.
we see that.
This is Mission Control in Korolyov. Once again, quick like a rabbit, a 29-minute maneuver that was executed by the crew on board the International Space Station for a test of an upgraded backup rendezvous system called the Toru, the telerobotically operated unit that is operated from a workstation inside the Zvezda service module. The undocking of the Progress automatically occurred at 12:36 a.m. Central Time. The Progress, through two separation burns, moved to a distance of about 600 feet away from the Piers docking compartment before The manual reapproach was initiated under the control of Alexei Ovchinin, backed up by Alex Kripochka from inside Zvezda. Redocking of the Progress to complete this engineering test occurring at 1:05 a.m. Central Time, 2:05 a.m. Eastern Time, as the Progress and the International Space Station flew 254 statute miles over the South Pacific. We're standing by for confirmation of hooks closing to once again form a hard mate between the Progress and the Piers docking compartment. And we've received confirmation that the docking probe is now retracting. So the next step after the retraction of the docking probe will be the hooks closing, the Progress hooks closing on the Piers docking compartment interface. This vehicle will not be re-entered. It will simply sit passively at the International Space Station for about the next 36 hours or so until its final undocking that is scheduled on Saturday evening, July 2nd at 10:48 p.m. Central Time. Progress will be sent on its way.
Did you actually...
And after about 4 hours of separation from the station, deorbit burn will be executed just after 2 a.m. Central Time on Sunday, July 3rd, to send the Progress into a destructive reentry over the Pacific Ocean.
During docking, visually, I saw that the depots were firing, yes.
Алексей, еще такой вопрос.
Alexei, another question.
Не помнишь...
At contact LED coming on, do you remember if capture LED came on right away or at the same time as the contact LED? Contact, then capture. So you did see contact LED come on first, correct? Affirmative. And I actually felt that we came to a stop, and then I saw the LED come on. Copy? We're trying to figure out what happened in order to initiate the depots either on the Y or X axis or both to start firing to create the oscillations. Do you still see the image of the target? No, we lost signal. We don't have the image. Copy. Then that means that TV is off.
Ожидаем команды на отключение ТОРу.
And that discussion by the Russian flight controllers with Alexei Ovchinin, just a review of some of the engineering data and a visual recount of some of the activities that occurred at the time that the Progress contacted the Piers docking compartment once again for its redocking that occurred at 1:05 a.m. Central Time about 10 minutes ago. The docking probe is retracting, standing by for hooks closing that will complete a hard mate between the Progress and its docking port at the Pier's docking compartment on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the station.
Жду вашей команды на отключение тору.
And I'm standing by for your go to deactivate Toru. Copy that, Alexei. Stand by.
Линейка хоть пригодилась, Алексей? Пользовался?
Alexei, did you ever end up using the range ruler to assess range?
Определение дальности 180.
Yes, at 100 meters, we used the range ruler to verify. Then when we station kept
200 метров. И потом, когда начали...
at 180 to 200 meter range. And then when we initiated the final approach, we regularly used the range ruler. Copy. What about your assessment of how the image worked for you during all the stages of the undocking and then final approach and docking? How was AGC working for you? Yeah, at first the image was pretty dark. Then I used the AGC modes to greatly improve the image quality. And then I still used AGC modes even when there was an incredible glare from the sunlight.
40-50 уже не было видно.
But it was still hard to see the target at about 40 to 50 meter range. We copy. What about controllability? Is there any difference between the simulator and the actual vehicle?
Если есть разница, то небольшая, в принципе.
You know, Moscow, if there is any difference, then it's not significant. Controllability seems to be very similar. Copy. And you looked exactly as you did during the simulator runs. So that's what we figured, that you felt very comfortable with controlling the vehicle. Copy that, Moscow. Right, so we had this mishap at contact, which we're analyzing and trying to figure out the root cause of it. But other than that, it was an excellent job, well done. Copy.
This is Mission Control in Korolyov. We now have confirmation that the Progress hooks have closed to form a hard mate between the resupply craft and the Piers docking compartment, from which the Progress took a short excursion this morning, undocking at 12:36 a.m. Central Time, moving away through two separation burns to a distance of about 600 feet away from the piers for this brief engineering test to verify the upgrade to the tele-robotically operated unit or backup rendezvous system that was manually controlled by cosmonauts Alexei Ovchinin and Alex Gripochka from a workstation inside the Zvezda service module. That workstation had a new signal conversion unit installed back in April to enhance communications and telemetry. So this test was worked out in advance between the International Space Station Program Partnership and tested out successfully today with no issues reported as the Progress backed away for a short spin away from piers and then was manually flown back in for its redocking at 1:05 a.m. Central Time. Just about 13 minutes later, the hooks were confirmed closed around the docking interface between Progress and Piers. Progress will now remain attached to the Piers docking compartment for this final time for about the next 36 hours or so before it is undocked for a final time at 10:48 p.m. Central Time on Saturday night, July 2nd. About 4 hours later, it will be deorbited through the firing of its engines to burn up in the Earth's atmosphere harmlessly over the Pacific Ocean. Once the 62 Progress departs, that will clear the Piers docking compartment for the next 2 weeks before its replacement, the ISS 64 Progress vehicle, is launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome on the afternoon of Saturday, July 16th. The launch time, 4:41 p.m. Central Time, which will be 3:41 a.m. at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan on Sunday, July 17th, for what at the moment is projected to be a 2-day rendezvous to the International Space Station to deliver 3 tons of new supplies, food, and fuel for the residents on the International Outpost. In the interim, the 3-man Expedition 48 crew, Jeff Williams, the station commander, the veteran NASA astronaut, who on August 24th will become the most flown astronaut in U.S. history, surpassing Scott Kelly's 520 days in space. That mark to be observed on August 24th. Jeff Williams and his 2 Russian cosmonaut crewmates, Alexei Ovchinin and Alex Gripochka, who he launched with back in March, they'll be joined by 3 new residents of the International Space Station, NASA's Kate Rubins, Anatoly Ivanishin of Roscosmos, and Takuya Onishi of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, who will launch on the Soyuz MS, or Modified Systems Vehicle, the first of its genre, from the Baikonur Cosmodrome on the evening of July 6th, U.S. time, just after 7:30 a.m. Baikonur time on July 7th, for a 2-day rendezvous shakedown of that modified vehicle and its docking to the International Space Station on the evening of July 8th in the morning hours of July 9th, Moscow time. That will bring the Expedition 48 crew back to its full complement of 6 people, and will begin the Expedition 48 increment, the second portion of the increment, with a full half-dozen crew members on board, with the arrival of Rubins, Ivanishin, and Onishi. So with that, we'll wrap up our coverage of this morning's activities with one programming note. Over this holiday weekend, there will be a variety of NASA television video files highlighting all of the pre-launch activities of Rubins, Onishi, and Ivanishin at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. Space Station Live will next air on Tuesday, July 5th at 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, to bring you up to date on all of the activities associated with the crew members on board the International Space Station and those in the final stages of training for their launch to join their colleagues on the International Outpost. So in the meantime, we hope you have a safe and enjoyable 4th of July holiday weekend. Again, the Progress 62 back safely in port at the Pier's docking compartment after a successful test of a backup rendezvous system this morning. Until we rejoin you on Tuesday morning, July 5th with Space Station Live, we wish you a happy holiday weekend. This is Mission Control calling you.